Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for your patience with this video. There's a lot to cover. It's going to be a little bit longer than I usually like to do, but here is Nadine as expected. We've been tracking that development. I've been tracking this area for over a week now. This is going to be a crossover system. What I mean from that, it's going to go from the Atlantic Basin, which includes the Gulf and the Caribbean. It's in the Caribbean now, over to the Pacific, where if it keeps its circulation, it's going to keep its name. A very unusual situation with that. We'll cover the flooding in that. And then this area near Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and Haiti, just north, this is going to kind of dive down toward parts of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, over toward parts of Cuba. Not developing at first, but I do believe this area here has a higher likelihood to become Oscar. So I'm watching down the road, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, over toward Cuba, but especially Bermuda and even the Atlantic region of Canada. So hang on in this video. I want to go piece by piece. And again, I'm sorry this is a little bit long, but here's what's going on. The immediate concern, thank you for your trust as well with this, is and was the flooding with this, and we're dealing with a lot of flooding. You see this here. The circulation of this is Tropical Storm Nadine, is still offshore, which means it is going to continue to strengthen some. It's not going to become a hurricane, but it's going to gather even more moisture, sliding right into the Yucatan of Mexico, right down through Belize and parts of Honduras, all on track. And I've been watching some of the heavier rain parts of Nicaragua, and then even kind of drifting up to the north. We've seen some near the Cayman Islands, more so over toward western Cuba. So it's this batch here. And here's what's going on. We have this big kind of a feed of moisture moving in, and that's why I was mentioning those extremely high rain totals, 250 millimeters of rain or 10 inches of rain. I'll show you that in a moment. Here's Roatan, so northern side of Honduras and then back through Belize. If you can safely let us know how you're doing in the comments. We're thinking of you with the flooding that is moving in. Hopkins, Ladyville, Belize City, let us know. Right up through Cozumel, over toward Cancun, some heavy rain, but the center of this is sitting still offshore, so it's still organized. And that means a long duration rain event. This is going to move in as a tropical storm. Then it will weaken. But I do believe that circulation is going to hang together and then work its way off into the Pacific. But a pretty large wind field here from anywhere from about Cancun, mainly, as I was mentioning yesterday, Cozumel south, right through Belize. These are the tropical storm force winds. So we're looking at sustained winds that will be right around 50 miles per hour or 80 kilometers an hour with this as it continues to strengthen some. So this is going to work its way in, but the moisture with this, the circulation, even though it's going to be downgraded once it moves in and kind of lose its classification, there'll be a little circulation left that moves onto the Pacific side, and I do believe it will strengthen. And if it keeps its circulation, it will keep its name or kind of regain its name as it moves from the Atlantic Basin over to the eastern Pacific. We don't often see this, but this is going to be one of those systems. And you see right now, this is tropical storm strength. These are those squiggly lines, the computer models going out in time. This is a day, 2 days, 3 days. So tropical storm now, then of course, as it moves inland, it'll lose its tropical storm winds. And then once it gets to the Pacific side, a lot of the modeling does have this strengthening. Fortunately, at that point, it'll be over the open waters. I don't see it kind of hooking back toward Mexico once it gets onto the Pacific side, but of course watching everything. So let me show you that here, and of course, yes, we're going to get to this, and you could watch other spots, say down toward Trinidad and Tobago, as we try to get a handle on your forecast, but the moisture continues to feed in with this. There's the center right there. Very close to Roatan, just kind of north and northwest of Roatan now. Center, not on shore yet, hasn't made landfall yet. It is going to make landfall this afternoon. This is by 11 p.m., so as we get close to midnight, the center will be on shore. We'll get the weakening, but the issue is the rain with this, and that's why we've been highlighting that. We've been in monitor mode for so long. Of course, we're taking action now with that flooding. Here's, by the time we work our way into tomorrow afternoon, heaviest rain will work its way across Mexico, but still some scattered areas of rain and heavier rain. Guatemala, even watching El Salvador. So lots in the way of rain, those very dangerous river crossings that will be with us. This white and black shading in here for the rain totals, that's 150 millimeters of rain or about 6 inches of rain. But I mentioned 250 millimeters of rain, 10, 11, even 12 inches of rain will be a possibility. Cozumel south, mainly just south of Cozumel. So watching our friends in Mexico, watching our friends right through Belize, and then northern side of Honduras, especially over toward Roatan or northern islands. And then it stretches back toward Guatemala and then Mexico proper. You see that swath of rain, that red shading there. all that moisture moving in. And yes, this is life-threatening flooding with those river crossings, with the mudslides, just the rain itself. These are extremely high totals. So thank you for sharing this information and getting that out there. So I do really appreciate that. So watching this spot here, we've got this spot over here. Now this big blob looks a little ominous, but it's not showing signs of development in the short term. But I do believe that area can become Oscar, the next named system. What's going to happen is, watching out for any signs of development, it is going to bring us some heavier rain, Turks and Caicos, southern Bahamas, and then even back toward western Cuba. So I know the orientation of this map's a little strange, but western Cuba, or rather eastern Cuba, Brian, and then kind of swing back and get caught up in a front and then head toward the general direction of Bermuda. So over the next day or so, kind of the same thing here, these squiggly lines, 1 day out, 2 days out, 3 days out, showing close to tropical storm status. Where this goes, Turks and Caicos, for example, tropical storm-like conditions, right? Some gustier winds. We're going to see some heavier rain, but once this area finally makes its turn and gets caught up into a front, there could be some strengthening into Oscar. So there is a chance it can develop. So now you can pick a spot on the map here. Watching a lot, I know there's a lot going on. I'm trying to break it down piece by piece. So here is Nadine. Here's what could become Oscar. Here we are in Jamaica, St. Lucia, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua, Barbuda, just to orient you. Here we are right in Cuba, so kind of in between systems. So this is today, and I broke down this for you. Now as we go out in time here, this is by the time we hit 11 o'clock this evening. This will have made landfall, and then this area, not organized, but southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. Gustier winds, heavier rain moving in, giving you the heads up on that. And I want to show you the European model and the winds on this in a second. Now this here is by tomorrow afternoon. There's the really heavy rain still parts of Mexico. At this point, it shouldn't be classified. It won't be Nadine at this point. And then this area here bringing some heavier rain, even northern side of Haiti, we may get some rain. Port-au-Prince, but north, and then we swing over here, eastern Cuba right there, some additional rain. May even enhance some of our rain in Jamaica tomorrow, better chance of some afternoon storms. Then let's get into Monday, right? So we get into Monday and you see what's happening. Look at this, some of that circulation here. I mentioned the crossover system from the Atlantic Basin over toward the Pacific side, and then this spot here, that's when it could start to develop. Now, the United States, you look over toward Florida, for example, high pressures and control. I'll show you that with the European model in a second. That's a blocker. We have a front that will be moving by, or at least nearby, that could kind of help grab this, but it's going to lift it up toward Bermuda. So you see here, this is by Tuesday, a couple things on the map. This is what could be Nadine again. Now, Eastern Pacific has a different set of names, but if it keeps its circulation, it will stay as Nadine. So it's a very interesting scenario that a system in the Eastern Pacific may have an Atlantic Basin name, and then you see Bermuda right here. This area may lift up. Now, I'm not sure if it'll be tropical in nature. There's a lot of kind of definition science behind that. I'll leave that out. But it does look like this will at least have some tropical storm conditions working its way up toward Bermuda in the upcoming week, and then even watching additional rain. I'll widen out for the Atlantic region of Canada. Now here are the winds. This white shading right in here near Belize, those are winds of 80 kilometers an hour or about 50 miles per hour. So showing you both scales to keep everyone covered best I can. And then not a whole lot on the way of circulation with this area here. But I like this map because this is where I could kind of find circulation, kind of see where things are going to be. So this here is on Sunday. You see as this works in, it will have made landfall later today. So on Sunday, not much of a circulation left with this, not much of a circulation here. But as we go out in time here, this is into next week, you see a couple things on this map popping up. Here is that circulation once again from Nadine, and that should redevelop, refire up in the Pacific side, and then we start to see a hint of a circulation right in here. Nothing too strong, but watching the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and then as we go on time further, this here is by Tuesday of the upcoming week. Of course, this area is going to really start to strengthen again in the Eastern Pacific. And then we swing over here, and we're going to see this little circulation kind of right through here. See, so here's Bermuda. You see some gustier winds here, a little bit of that white showing up there. Those could be some gustier winds of 40, 50 miles per hour right in there. And then you see the winds kind of building, especially as we get into later on Tuesday into Wednesday as we work our way near Bermuda. So we could have some tropical, nothing we can't handle in Bermuda, but some tropical storm-like conditions if not a true tropical storm, which would be Oscar, by the time we get into late Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, here's the European model, and then I want to expand out further in time. So you see, this is Nadine, and I like to show this to show you kind of a comparison. And both models are generally showing the same thing. Here's what could become Oscar. Look at this, high pressure dominant in the southeast U.S. That is the blocker as of now. That doesn't mean eventually later this season something can't swing up, but as of now, not seeing that at all. High pressure, the dominant feature, protecting Florida, and then points to the north. Here, by the time we get into tomorrow, is what's left of Nadine, and then you see that spot, eastern Cuba, southern Bahamas, over toward the Turks and Caicos. Some of the additional rain. Shouldn't be a classified system at this point. That blocker right in place acts as a fence. There's that barrier keeping everything down to the south. Now, going out in time further, this here's as we work our way into early next week. On Monday, and you can see the circulation over here, what should become Nadine again, and then you see this additional rain right in here. So we're looking at eastern Cuba, seeing some tropical storm conditions for some gustier winds, even if it's not a classified system. And let's go out in time here further as we get deeper to the upcoming week, as we work our way into Tuesday. And you see here, this is when this area right here starts to make a turn. There's going to be a little front that kind of helps pull it up, but it may start to develop. The European model is a little more aggressive with the development. A couple of the other models are hinting at development too. There is a chance that this tries to become Oscar as it gets tied into a front. Here's Bermuda right there, and then it just kind of gets tied into a front. So regardless of if that area gets a name, as we work our way into the middle of next week, we're going to see some higher seas, gustier winds, and that rain chance, of course, growing as we get toward Bermuda. So let's expand out in time. Here's the Atlantic region of Canada. This is Tuesday, so I'm jumping ahead, right? This is on Tuesday as we track this area here. Here's Bermuda, and you see Tuesday into Wednesday, that better chance of rain. We'll see if it becomes a named system, but either way, some gustier winds that will be moving into Bermuda. This is early on Wednesday morning. Now, here's a system coming through Quebec. There's a front coming in. What's going to happen this time of year is that front comes through Quebec, and it helps draw this moisture up toward the Atlantic region of Canada. Shouldn't be tropical in nature, but that does mean strong winds, gusty winds, and additional rainfall Thursday, potentially into Friday. More so it's looking Thursday. We'll work on the timing as we get down the road. But just a heads up, anywhere from Nova Scotia, and we'll see how this evolves, watching New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, but Nova Scotia and especially Newfoundland, we could see this area kind of working up with some heavier rain into the upcoming week. So giving you that heads up in the Atlantic region of Canada. So Nadine, that is the name right now. That is the tropical storm impacting Belize, parts of Mexico, and Honduras, working its way toward Guatemala. Next area on the list, next name on the list is Oscar, and then it would be Patty after that. So yeah, tons going on. Now, obviously the higher seas, this is meters. This is feet, again, trying to keep everyone covered. Dangerous seas, Western Caribbean, of course, where Nadine's coming on shore. And then we just simply stay choppy in the Gulf and the Atlantic waters. But I want to go out in time here further. This is by the time we get into Tuesday, and watch how stuff builds as we get into the middle of the week. This is Wednesday, and you could really see those seas building as this area here that will be near Haiti, kind of lifting up toward Bermuda. The seas in the Atlantic, this is by Thursday, are really going to be building as that system kind of winds up with that front that moves in. So as far as the rain goes, I zoomed down earlier where Nadine is, but you could see here 3-day rain total, substantial. So the heads up, southern Bahamas, watching us across the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, even into eastern sections of Cuba. We'll be right on the edge of it, parts of northern sections of the Dominican Republic, and then back toward Haiti. But some of these totals could be as high as 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain or higher. 4 to 6 inches of rain will be a possibility for 3-day totals. Still unsettled Cayman Islands and Jamaica. We're in between systems. We have this area over here, Nadine back to the west, but that's going to keep us unsettled with that chance of some scattered storms. Could see a few downpours. Same thing in Puerto Rico, kind of hit or miss, Antigua, Barbuda, Dominica, Martinique. If you do get a shower possible, or even a thunderstorm, 50 millimeters of rain or 2 inches of rain. St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, watching out for some scattered areas of rain. 3-day totals, again, could top 50 millimeters of rain or 2 inches of rain if you do get some rain. Not as much Suriname, Guyana, watching over toward Venezuela. Of course, the bullseye right through here, which I did cover earlier, but still watching out for some of the downpours. Panama, Costa Rica, and parts of Nicaragua, watching El Salvador. But here's that swath of rain, that life-threatening flood potential. parts of Mexico, Belize, right toward Guatemala as Nadine makes landfall. And that landfall will be later today. We swing back toward Mexico City north, mainly dry, but we'll watch out for some of this moisture starting to build south of Mexico City as we go over the next few days. And then that area will shift off toward the Pacific. So I mentioned Jamaica, we're still going to be unsettled. The next 3 days, a 50 to 60% chance of rain. Cayman Islands, we're looking at about a 50% chance, 40 to 50% chance Trinidad and Tobago. So we don't have any name system nearby for us in Trinidad, but we're going to see that chance of some scattered showers and storms. And we do that again in Barbados. Not a washout, not a guarantee we get rain, but scattered areas of rain. St. Lucia, we're looking at that 50% chance, 40 to 50% chance as we get back through Grenada, 40 to 50% chance St. Vincent and the Grenadines, about a 50% chance the next couple of days in Martinique. 50% chance as we swing back through Dominica. We lift to the north and no washout, but again, a chance of some showers possible. Guadeloupe, rain chance a little bit lower. Antigua, Barbuda, kind of that seasonal 40% chance. We'll do that again. St. Kitts, Nevis, and Montserrat, 40% chance the next couple of days. Anguilla, St. Bart's, we get back towards St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, 40% chance as we swing through the weekend. Rain chance a little bit higher over toward Puerto Rico, where we could get a couple thunderstorms mix in. And still this time of year, if we are dry, we're going to be on the hot side, but that could also help pop up some afternoon storms. 40% chance U.S. and British Virgin Islands, 50% chance in the Bahamas. But again, southern Bahamas, back toward the Turks and Caicos, that's where that rain chance is going to be higher. Watching this carefully, monitoring that flooding very carefully with that second tropical disturbance. Dominican Republic, better chance on the north side, 40% chance the next couple days. And I mentioned north side of Haiti, we could get some of those showers starting to work in. I'll be fine-tuning that the next couple of days, of course. All eyes are on Belize with the landfall later today of Tropical Storm Nadine. Passing shower possible, Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire as we get into the upcoming week, especially. About a 30% chance on Monday. Rain chance in Guyana, not too high, 30-40% chance, 30% chance in Suriname. In the rain chance, now this is split as well. Cuba, watching eastern Cuba in particular for that second tropical disturbance that could bring us additional rain. Costa Rica, Panama, rain chance 60 to 70%. And of course, Nicaragua today on the elevated side. But as we swing toward Honduras, that's where a lot of the action is. Now it is split. The focus for us in Honduras, northern sections with a very heavy rain, the coastal flooding, watching out for the flood potential all the way through tonight into at least early tomorrow. And then the moisture from Nadine tries to swing back, especially toward parts of northern Guatemala, but still watching out for some extra rain over toward El Salvador. Rain chance will pick up some in Mexico City, but not too high. And of course, watching the Yucatan. Now, Merida will get some rain out of this. Heaviest, though, Cozumel to the south on the east side of the Yucatan Peninsula. Northern Colombia, 40% chance, 30% chance the next couple days. Northern Venezuela, 30 to 40% chance in Bermuda, but just kind of keeping an eye on. We're going to see what evolves as we get into the week ahead, as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday for that higher chance of rain. So Central America, the major flooding as Nadine continues to move in. Watching the river crossings, the mudslides. Nadine will cross from the Atlantic Basin. It's in the Caribbean right now, over toward the Pacific, and then tracking that second disturbance that will eventually make a swing up toward Bermuda and then even near the Atlantic region of Canada. So very busy. I know there's a lot going on in this video. Maybe you could go back, kind of stop it at points you need just to get the proper information out. Thank you for sharing this information. Please be safe where Nadine is, over toward parts of Mexico, watching over toward Belize and Honduras. We are monitoring together as we go throughout the day. I'll be watching those comments. Be safe with that flooding and have a good rest of your day.